Hey everyone, welcome back to Mindful English. I'm Sarah, and I'm sitting here with Liam.
Hey everyone, good to be here.
You know, Liam, last week we talked about emotional adjectives. How to say, I am frustrated, or I am vulnerable.
We did. We gave everyone the vocabulary to name their feelings. But the other day, I realized there is a second half to that puzzle. A friend of mine was going through a really difficult breakup. He knew the adjectives. He said, I am deeply sad. I am incredibly frustrated. But you could see the absolute chaos in his eyes. He had this massive storm of emotions inside of him, but he didn't know how to describe what those emotions were making him do.
Oh, that is such a crucial distinction. Adjectives describe the state of the feeling, but they don't describe the action. When you are going through a highly emotional situation, your feelings aren't just flat, still pictures. They are dynamic. They are physical. They make you act, move, and react.
Exactly. Last week, we talked about the emotional state. Today, we are talking about the dynamic, physical behavior driven by those emotions. For example, last week you learned how to say, I am frustrated. But today, you are going to learn how to connect that feeling to a physical reaction. I was so frustrated that I finally lashed out.
Yes, I lashed out. It shows movement. And if you want to truly connect with people in English, if you want to explain your own mental state without sounding like a textbook, you have to master this physical, action-oriented vocabulary.
So today, we are going to walk through the 5 natural stages of human emotion. From the moment we try to hide our feelings to the physical explosion, the healing, and finally, the joy.
Let's dive in.
Let's start with phase 1, the suppression. Because as adults, our first behavioral instinct is usually to hide what we are feeling from the world.
It absolutely is. Imagine you have a terrible day at work, but you have to go to a dinner party. You don't want to ruin the mood, so you try to bottle up your stress. You literally treat your body like a glass bottle, pushing all the pressure inside and twisting the cap shut. You desperately try to push down the anxiety so nobody can see it.
And if someone notices you look tired and asks if you are okay, you immediately brush off their concern. You casually wave your hand and say, "Oh, I'm fine, just didn't sleep well." By doing that, you completely shut out the people who are actually trying to help you. You build a wall to keep them outside.
Exactly. And keeping that wall up takes immense physical effort. If you are deeply upset, you have to physically hold back your true feelings. And if you are on the verge of crying, you literally have to choke back your tears. You tighten your throat to stop the sadness from escaping.
But you can't keep a lid on a boiling pot forever. Eventually, the pressure gets too high. And that brings us to phase 2, the eruption.
The pressure has to go somewhere. If you bottle up your anger at work for 6 months, one tiny mistake will cause all that frustration to finally boil over. The hot water spills out of the pot, and when that happens, you lose control. Just like our example earlier, you might suddenly lash out at a coworker, yelling at them for no logical reason.
Or, instead of anger, the pressure turns into pure sadness. You might completely break down in your car on the way home, just weeping from exhaustion. Sometimes, you are just watching a silly television commercial, and you suddenly tear up because your emotional barrier has collapsed.
It happens to all of us. And if you are overwhelmed by fear or panic, you might completely freak out. And once that emotional dam breaks, you can't stop it. All the secrets and fears you were hiding just pour out of you in a flood of words and tears.
Which is actually a very necessary physical step, because you can't heal until the poison is out of your system. And that brings us to phase 3, the processing. This is where the real emotional work begins.
Right. After the explosion, you realize you need help. So you finally decide to open up to a trusted friend. You invite them inside your emotional wall. You talk to them, and you finally let out a massive, heavy sigh of relief.
And you sit with that friend to actively work through the trauma. You slowly sort out your confusing, tangled thoughts, organizing them into something that makes sense.
Exactly. You stop running away, and you bravely face up to the reality of the situation. And Liam, sometimes there is no immediate fix. Sometimes you just have to gently sit with the uncomfortable feeling. You just let the sadness exist in the room with you, without trying to fight it.
That is such a mature, mindful approach. Sit with it. And if you have the patience to do that, you naturally transition into phase 4, the recovery.
The healing phase. When your heart rate is high, you take deep breaths to calm down. If you had a massive argument, you take a walk around the block to physically cool off.
And slowly, you start to rebuild. You force yourself to pull together your composure, gathering all your broken pieces, and day by day, you slowly get over the heartbreak. It stops controlling you.
You realize how resilient you are. You successfully bounce back to your normal, energetic self. You finally decide to move on to the next chapter of your life, and you proudly let go of the bitter resentment that was holding you back.
Which leaves room in your heart for the absolute best part of the human experience. Phase 5, the joy.
Yes! Emotions aren't just pain. When you see someone you love, your face will instantly light up with happiness. If your friend is having a bad day, you buy them a coffee to cheer up their mood.
And even if you are naturally shy, if you meet a great group of people, you will eventually warm up to them. The ice melts and you become comfortable. And when you are truly happy, your excitement will just bubble over like champagne. You might even get completely carried away by the music at a party and dance all night.
That is the beauty of the emotional spectrum. And Liam, listening to us walk through those 5 stages just proves how dynamic English really is. You don't need a psychology degree to talk about your feelings. You just need to describe the temperature, the pressure, and the movement.
Exactly. You stop acting like a static dictionary and you start speaking like a living, breathing human being.
Now, to make sure you have these phrases ready for your next deep conversation, let's do a quick review.
We will walk through the exact same 5 stages of emotion, starting with phase 1, the suppression. When we don't want people to see our pain, we treat our bodies like a pressure cooker and bottle up our stress.
Right. To bottle up means to hide strong emotions instead of expressing them. And we constantly try to push down our anxiety, meaning we physically force the feeling deep inside ourselves so we don't have to deal with it.
If someone asks if we are okay, we casually brush off their concern, meaning we dismiss it as unimportant. By doing that, we shut out our loved ones, meaning we refuse to let them into our emotional lives.
And keeping that wall up takes physical effort. We have to hold back our true feelings, meaning we actively restrain ourselves. And if we are about to cry, we tightly choke back our tears, meaning we force ourselves not to weep.
But that leads us directly to phase 2, the eruption. Eventually, that hidden pressure will boil over, meaning the emotion becomes so strong it can no longer be controlled.
And when it boils over, we might angrily lash out at a coworker, meaning to suddenly attack someone verbally or physically. Or the sadness takes over and we completely break down, meaning we lose all emotional control and usually start crying.
Sometimes we just tear up during a sad movie, meaning our eyes quickly fill with tears. Or if we are terrified, we completely freak out, which is a casual way to say we panic and lose our minds.
And once the dam breaks, all of our hidden secrets just pour out, meaning they flow out of our mouths rapidly and uncontrollably.
Which is so necessary for phase 3, the processing. To heal, you have to bravely open up to a friend, meaning you finally talk about your true, vulnerable feelings. And when you do, you let out a deep sigh of relief, meaning you physically release it into the air.
Then you sit down to work through the trauma, meaning you deal with a complex problem step by step. You slowly sort out your thoughts, meaning you organize the confusion in your head.
Because you have decided to honestly face up to reality, meaning you accept a difficult truth. And sometimes you just have to sit with the pain, meaning you allow yourself to feel it without running away.
And if you do that, you enter phase 4, the recovery. You take deep breaths to calm down, meaning you become peaceful after being agitated. You take a walk to cool off, meaning you reduce your intense anger.
You slowly pull together your composure, meaning you regain control of your emotions. And day by day, you get over the heartbreak, meaning you recover from the shock or sadness.
You realize you are strong enough to bounce back, meaning you quickly return to a healthy, happy state. You boldly decide to move on with your life, meaning you progress into the future. And you gracefully let go of your resentment, meaning you release your grip on the past.
Which leaves room for phase 5, the joy. When you are happy, your face will light up, meaning it becomes bright with joy. And if a friend is sad, you try to cheer up their day, meaning you help them become happier.
If you are shy, it might take time to warm up to new people, meaning you gradually begin to like and trust them. But eventually, your excitement will bubble over, meaning you cannot contain your joy.
And you might even get completely carried away at a party, meaning you lose your self-control because you are having so much fun.
And if you want more expressions for describing emotional actions and behaviors, check the pinned comment below.
You stop relying on static adjectives, and you start telling the true physical story of your behavior. It makes you so much more relatable.
So here's our challenge. Use one of these phrases to tell us how you are feeling today.
Are you trying to calm down after work, or is your excitement bubbling over for the weekend? Tell us in the comments.
And if this episode helped you see that emotions are physical and dynamic, if it gave you the language to describe what your feelings make you do, share it with someone who's learning English.
Because the truth is, you don't need a psychology degree to talk about your feelings. You just need to describe the temperature, the pressure, and the movement.
And go back and check out some of our previous episodes too. We cover all kinds of ways to express yourself more naturally in English.
Take care of yourselves, everyone. Be kind to your minds.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Isn't this view incredible?
Yes, the sunset is magical. I could ride this train forever.